but then I really wanted to get back to teaching. So what I realized working at Perfect Paws is that the puppy room at the daycare was an exceptional place.
That was Bernal Beast owner Steph Miller. Welcome to Storied San Francisco. I'm your host, Jeff Hunt. All throughout September, we're focusing on small business owners. Some are new to the show, and some are revisits with past guests. In this podcast, Steph picks up where she left off in part 1, with her return to the Bay Area after spending 5 years or so in New Orleans. She adopted her dog Ruby back in Louisiana, and now saw how Ruby led the pack with her parents' dogs, to mixed results. After a few moves around the Bay Area, Steph finally found an apartment in North Beach and a job at Mission Pet Hospital. One of the vets there let her know about a dog training program at the SPCA, which set her on a course that she's still on today. Bernal Beast, which is located at the top of the hill on Cortlandt, is open 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day. Please wear a mask and practice social distancing if you visit their store. Here's Steph.
So I did come back. I had a dog with me.
Your own dog.
My own dog. Oh, and Ruby. Well, I'll show you later. I don't want to undress again. But I have a tree on my arm with my dog's name, Ruby, because she is really like sort of the core of why I have become a dog trainer.
Let's talk about that then. Did you get her down in
did.
New Orleans?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you had her in New Orleans, brought her back.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
if she's the core of why you're a dog trainer,
she is.
Let's hear that story then.
She was being fostered by a neighbor, and she had this litter of puppies. And I was doing a jogging route through Audubon Park. I lived right near one of the sort of beautiful oak tree-lined parks. And I had to run past this person's house every day. Mm-hmm. And every time I'd pass, I was like, no. There was a little sign saying, like, puppies, come see. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, no. Mm-hmm. Finally, I was like, oh. I saw them all following her at one point in a little line to go potty and then come back. And I couldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't resist. So I stopped. The first dog that came out running at me and basically like scratching my whole face and neck was my dog Ruby, who I wound up taking home with me at that very moment.
Yeah.
And never I did look back. I remember walking her up the stairs of my apartment building thinking, what did I just do?
Right.
Typical Steph, rash decision to just like go with your gut.
Yeah.
Which is how I make a lot of my decisions.
But that was 20 plus years ago, and here you are. So there's one.
Definitely not a decision that I regret. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it turns out she had a lot of behavioral problems. She was a little like a Shar-Pei/lab mutt. And had a lot of dog to dog social problems.
Okay.
And I learned a lot. And then I studied. And then I just read up on stuff. And I happened to be, reading all really good stuff. I was given positive reinforcement training manuals. So lucky.
Totally.
Because, I could have been given a choke chain or a prong collar and the monks of Mesquite. And I was given something written by a positive reinforcement trainer and crate trained her and took her to the levee at the Mississippi River for play dates and met her best friend named Gumbo.
Oh, my God.
So cute. And oddly enough, when I moved back home to take this job in my dad's law office, total nepotism, by the way, I admit it. But also, I loved working there. It was crazy. I loved it.
Did you live down in Atherton
I
again?
did. I moved literally back home.
So you commuted.
I commuted.
Okay.
So I commuted either on the train or I became my dad's chauffeur. Oh. And he would, it was like a job I took very seriously because he's taught me to drive very young and I'm sort of the family driver now. If I wound up in the wrong lane. I could feel the tension next to me, you know. So it was just, I took it very, I was like, became a cab driver very early. And it probably led to me becoming a dog walker and driving all over the city to pick up dogs.
Right.
But, so Ruby came with me, and then we moved in with my parents and their 2 dogs.
Okay.
And that's when all hell broke loose. Ruby was like the bad girl who would sneak out at night in a little black dress with no undies on. Like, she was teaching them to like smoke and possibly get into some heavier stuff in the back alley.
Or just fully live your life. She came from New Orleans after all.
Totally.
She's like, let me
like
show
a
y'all
girl
how.
after my own heart, for sure.
Totally.
But I mean, I got a call at one point from a neighbor who was laughing but saying like, "Oh, do you hear that? That's my 10-year-old's birthday party. They're having the best time, but there's 3 dogs swimming in the swimming pool while all these girls just think it's the greatest show in the world." I'm like, oh my God. And it was totally my dog was a Houdini.
Right.
She was finding escape routes and then taking her adopted sisters with her on these excursions all over Atherton.
And I don't know Atherton very well. Is it like fully, suburban residential?
Oh, yeah.
Or is it?
Totally.
I didn't know if it was
It's like right next to Menlo Park. Menlo Park and Redwood City both have sort of downtowns, and Atherton's just all residential.
Okay. But was that scary for your dogs to be going out on their adventures, or you're just like, it's just who they are?
I almost feel like I became the latchkey parent that I grew up as. Right. I mean, they came back, they survived it, but my dog definitely put me through the rigors of. I mean, when I moved to Berkeley, she wound up at the shelter twice. I'm not proud of this. I'm not proud of any of this. Okay. But I didn't realize, because I didn't know, that she had separation anxiety, like true separation anxiety. And I didn't have a lot of money working the jobs I was working to sort of provide care in the way that I feel like dogs should have if they're alone for 10 hours.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot from that.
What brought you to Berkeley?
I could not find a place in San Francisco that would take me, a low-wage earner, and a dog. During the dot-com boom, the first one. Right. There was like 50 people waiting at every apartment and people offering cash at the door. I was like, oh, yep, I guess I'll go over here. Right. My best friend went to Berkeley, who I grew up with, went to high school with, and she said that there was an apartment in her building coming up, and it happened to be in North Berkeley.
Okay. But the idea was that you, it wasn't
I only wanted to live in San Francisco. No offense, Berkeley.
And it wasn't just that job with your dad. It was, you wanted to be here.
I just wanted to be here. This is the city that I dreamed of being in. And it's the closest thing to New Orleans. They call them us sister cities.
Have you heard the term psychic seaport?
No.
We'll talk about that off mic later.
Okay.
I'll tell you about
Love
that.
it.
But so Berkeley, and then eventually
Berkeley happened, and then I moved to North Oakland for the same sort of reasons. I couldn't get a place, and the Berkeley apartment didn't allow dogs. Okay. So I was sneaking my dog in, and I needed to have a place that I could just be not doing that.
And you're like, and I'll just keep getting closer and closer.
Somehow. To that.
The city I'll live on the bridge if I have to, in the tunnel.
I lived
fucking Yerba Buena Island.
I know, like what, a Treasure Island? Let's do it.
Yeah.
But I feel like I lived right under the BART track at Ashby Station. I lived on Martin Luther King and 61st.
Got it. I know. Exactly
I had bars on my windows and drug deals happening, and I was like, you know what? I feel really at home here. Exactly. I just came back from New Orleans.
Exactly.
This is not a big deal. Okay. And my dog happened to look like a pretty tough pit bull. So I'd walk her at night and be fine. We'd walk right through deals and come back to my apartment in North Oakland was right at the curve on Martin Luther King Avenue near the Ashby BART, like I said, and twice cars crashed into my front door,
Oh my God.
taking that
When
turn.
you were in there?
Both times when I was not home.
Okay. That'd
Both
be
times
fucking
coming home
frightening.
to
Jesus.
my, half the entryway gone. But you guys, I mean, I don't know if you guys were here in San Francisco in 99, 98. Okay. Really, really hard to get a place in the city, right?
Yeah.
Like, we think it's hard now. I think it really is hard now. But I remember it being just at a different level. Oh my God, you'd see those apartments that were just a bedroom, but then down the hall, you'd leave that down the hall to find a kitchen that was shared, and then like a bathroom that was shared, and they're still asking $1,200 a month for it at
You're
the time.
describing my apartment at Hayes and DeViz. Exactly.
Exactly. So anyway, and then I did move to North Beach.
So when did you get started? Did you move to North Beach before you got started with dog walking?
Yes, I was still working in my dad's law firm, and I was moving on up. I went from being a case clerk to a paralegal. I loved it. You guys, it just taps into some organizational bug that I have in my system. And I liked organizing attorneys. I liked it. But my very good friend Christine, who was a paralegal way, way longer than I was, looked at me one day and she was like, "Get out."
The horror
like,
movie.
what do you
moment.
mean? I'm happy. She's
Yeah.
like, "No, you're not." And I was like, okay, you're right, I'm not. But I could have been complacent and just kind of stuck that out, and probably wouldn't have been happy.
Right.
But I was just kind of rolling with it.
Did she have an idea of what you should do?
She was just like, "You're so creative." She just had, she had a lot of ideas for me. She's like, "You're so creative. You should be in like art or advertising or just anything." And she's right. That's not my jam.
Right. She's like, "Let's start with saving your soul.
Yeah.
Get you out of here." Okay.
Oh my God. I think I'm going all over the place, but, I mean, I really am.
No, that's okay.
But I
let's...
did get married in there too. Oh, I know. It's like,
Okay. Sure.
how long do you have? No. So as I was sort of typing in my doldrums of my little cubicle, that again, I loved the people I worked with, but it wasn't going to fulfill me spiritually or professionally or mentally. I wound up applying to work in a veterinary office.
Okay.
And that's kind of how everything else fell into place.
A vet in the city? Or which
Mission
one?
Pet Hospital.
Oh, yeah. My old place.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Where you used to take your dogs?
Starting in
Or cat?
2001.
Yeah.
Were you there then?
2001?
Yeah, that's when I started going there.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's probably, yeah. Okay.
I was definitely, so I was there from about 99, 2000, and probably just leaving in 2001 because one of the vets there, Dr. Dave Gordon, who's still there, and whose dog I eventually walked, he gave me The Culture Clash, a book by Jean Donaldson. She is an animal behaviorist scientist, and she founded the Academy for Dog Trainers at the San Francisco SPCA.
Okay.
And she was working it and at the SPCA at the time that Dr. Gordon gave me that book. And I was like, oh, this is what I want to do.
Okay.
So anyway, that kind of leads us to that. But because I realized at the pet hospital, as much as I thought I wanted to be a vet tech or be, handling the animals, I didn't really love seeing the animals in those moments of sort of pain and fear.
Yeah.
And also having to watch people say goodbye to their pets was really hard. I wasn't really cut from, strong enough.
And other people are. right? There's
Other
other
people
people
totally
who
are.
can handle that and
Oh
are
my
good
gosh,
at it.
yeah.
That's important.
And it wasn't like the gore it was the emotional piece.
Yeah, it's the sadness.
So kind of finding the SPCA and that program and getting to work under Jean was like going to second grade again.
Right. What's the program called, and is it still going?
It doesn't exist anymore,
Okay.
but at the time, it was called the San Francisco Academy for Dog Trainers, and it was world renowned. It was this program that took students who would pay to be part of this program to learn how to work with animals and learn how to train them, but also learn how to deal with behavioral problems.
Okay.
In order to keep more animals in their homes. And then they had this symbiotic relationship with the students. We were training the shelter dogs.
Right.
And so we were getting adoptions just out the door with these dogs who were hopefully going to be staying in their homes because we helped them get there.
Awesome.
It was a no-kill shelter at the time. It was honestly the mecca. It was where people were coming from all over the world to take this program. I did not know that at the time that I joined up, but I felt like it was going to be the model program for every shelter in the United States and maybe the world, because it used this behavioral bent to get these dogs more grounded, more confident, more comfortable. They had a very extensive behavior and training department, and animals that were coming in were getting all the rehab that they needed before they were sent out. It was amazing.
Awesome.
It was amazing.
Fixing them, well, that's not a good term.
But yeah, no, but educating them and building their confidence to a point where they could go into a family home and survive that and make it and be happy and thrive.
So then I don't want to gloss over anything for sure, but then when did you become your own, like was your training and
everything I
own?
learned there.
Okay.
I mean, I did read up, and Ruby was my project dog for a lot of the program. Like I was using her to work on behavior modification. So whether like she has dog-to-dog issues, she had some leash reactivity, she had some resource guarding. She was like the perfect case because she had everything, everything that a dog trainer really needs to learn. She was like my little guinea pig.
Right. And
So it was helpful to have her in my house to take my assignments home and work her. But then I stayed and did an internship there. They created an internship program for all the grads. I went down the curriculum and teaching public class
oh wow.
route. So what was so cool at the time too is, so I'm learning from my mentor. Her name is Veronica Battelle, and she still runs an amazing program called Dog Tech, which helps dog professionals build. It's like a little, almost like an incubator, but that she just helps dog professionals survive.
Awesome.
She mentored me. Her teaching skills were phenomenal. She came from Mills College and just took everything she knew about teaching and then applied it to the dog world. And we got to teach public classes to people coming into the shelter with their rescue or their adopted dog, wherever that was from. And then we got to practice what we learned. And I did hundreds of volunteer hours.
How long were you there?
Years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to learn. I wanted to get everybody's take on everything. And so I was so lucky. I immersed myself in a program that was just there and thriving and welcoming.
And was that the experience that told you this is what I want to do? This is where I should be?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, by the time I was in the program, I'm like, we're done here. We're good. This is exactly where I want to be. And from that experience led to everything else. So I was teaching at the SPCA. Then I got a job at a place called Perfect Paws, which was an independent training company down like on Harrison and 8th. They were paying like $10,000 a month in rent because it was .com Soma. I got a lot of teaching under my belt there.
Okay.
And then they had to close because they couldn't pay the rent. And so that was my first stint as a dog walker because all these dogs that were in the daycare program needed care. My friend Diane, Maury, Eva Lauterbach, and I created a dog walking company like this, started to go to Fort Funston, and then...
What was that called? Your company?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't remember.
That's fine.
Anyway, yeah, no, I don't even think it was a business made out of necessity. And it was like one day we were working in the training company, and the next we had a pack of dogs at Fort Funston. So, but then I really wanted to get back to teaching. So what I realized working at Perfect Paws is that the puppy room at the daycare was an exceptional place. The dogs were all like learning all their new skills and gaining confidence and playing with each other. And I wasn't as high on the adult daycare rooms because it felt a little tense sometimes and it wasn't for every dog, right? You had to be a certain kind of bomb-proof dog to be in a room with that many dogs in a tight space. Puppies thrived.
Yeah.
So that's when the seed for SF Puppy Prep, which was my puppy daycare that I opened, what kind of germinated?
Sure. Roughly when was that?
That was around 2005.
Okay.
And so Aisha Berger, my business partner at the time, and I, and also came stemming from the SPCA, we opened SF Puppy Prep in 2005, and we're busy from like the second that we opened our doors. It was in this city pretty much the first of its kind to offer 6 month and under puppy daycare to people who adopt. And I mean, there were times when people would come and say like, I don't understand what we did before you guys opened.
Right.
Like, how did you have a wild little animal in your home while we were at work, tearing up your couch?
We who know nothing and just want a dog.
Yeah.
Let's take them to people who actually know a little bit about what
so Puppy Prep was like, we used to have puppy happy hour every Friday night. We served wine and cheese. People were coming in to just go to the happy hour to watch puppies play as a little serotonin uptake. And then when I sold Puppy Prep about 8 years later to my business partner, Aisha, she took over. I was pregnant.
Okay.
So anyway.
Where was Puppy Prep?
Beautiful part of town. 6th Street between Folsom and Howard.
Okay.
It was a really, it was right near the furniture building.
Right.
And that was still there
They're
when we took over down there.
6th and Howard.
6th and Howard, yeah.
Okay.
Rough spot, rough neighborhood to kind of get that started, but it worked. People were coming. And fast forward, we had actually done some cross-marketing with Tony, who used to own Bernal Beast. And we were sending coupon cards to our classes, and he did some happy hour things with us. And, you know, whatever it was, 15 years later, I approached him to try and do what I'm doing here. Here. This room was like filled, all aquariums. I don't know if you guys had ever been here before.
No, I hadn't.
Okay, very different. I wish you'd see the before and after.
Yeah.
And I said, why don't I do some training in here and it'll get people in the door? Because we're losing customers to Chewy and Amazon. So let's get like some service. A few months later, I bumped into Tony on the street and he was like, hey, how about this? How about you just buy Bernal Beast? And just do your dream.
He was done.
He was done.
He's ready.
25 years.
But
he was ready to retire. But he also wanted it to go to someone who would keep it in like a small local business. And now I'm just bringing what we did at Puppy Prep here.
Okay.
But in addition to cats, chickens, bunnies. I'm learning a lot about chickens.
Wow,
You know
okay.
how you guys don't know how many chickens there are in San Francisco. So we're not dog only, but that is
Beasts.
sort of beasts. The beasts of Vernal.
How long was it in the works? Then you said you opened on
May
May
1st. We had started the conversation in probably October, the previous October.
Was Tony running the place until
Yes.
until shelter in place happened?
Yes.
Shut down.
He basically closed for April and was only taking phone orders, but mostly because of his age category, and he was feeling a little bit more vulnerable. But we are considered an essential business, so
Right.
when Alan and I came in on May 1st, we just opened and tried to sort of maintain as much social distancing as possible.
So you're an interesting class in the overall of what we're doing and what the city's doing and everything, like, because you opened, you only known this business under shelter in place rules and X's on the floor and that masks and everything. So you don't have a before to compare it to.
I really don't. I mean, my old business was so different. It wasn't
Right.
a retail
Right.
shop, and it wasn't people coming in. It was puppies coming in, and So yeah, people say like, "Oh, how's it going? How does it compare?" And I'm like, "We don't know.
There's no before.
We feel good.
Yeah.
It feels good." We're open every day, Monday through Sunday, 10 to 5 right now, and we basically have almost every employee that was here before back. The hours have shifted a little bit, but we really wanted to keep some continuity, and the community loves our employees. And honestly, they taught us a lot, so they're here. And then the weekends are when we're really kind of opening up to the class. That was the thing I wanted to start right away, but because of the pandemic, I think that is the most affected, is sort of our education program. That we have a lot of ideas. We want speaker series on behavior. We want art openings. We want local artists to show their work here. We really want to be a community space, and the community part is so hard right now. So right now we have puppy socials every Saturday that people can pre-register for, because we have to limit the number of people. And then we have young puppy classes on Saturdays, and we're going to start offering sort of sequences of those classes, like puppy 1, puppy 2, adult manners, workshops, all sorts of stuff. But we kind of have to gauge what we can really do during this time.
We didn't really talk about, besides the fact that this place is located here, we didn't talk about this neighborhood at all.
You're right.
Can we talk about that real
Yes,
fast?
love to. I am in love with this neighborhood. I actually came to this neighborhood for the first time as a private dog trainer. I came to a house probably like in the year 2002.
Okay.
And I left that dog training thinking, where am I? And how do I get to live here? I remember going to Wild Side West back in the day and still not really knowing what Bernal Heights was. And then when I first moved to Bernal Heights 17 years ago, nobody knew what neighborhood this was. I could tell people where I lived, and they're like, "Oh, wait, is Bernal Heights? Where is that again?"
Right.
So, anyway, it's an adorable little enclave of perfection. I just love it here. And the other thing I was going to say about the shop is we have cleaned it up. We have sort of put in some products that maybe weren't here before, but we're really trying not to be a boutique. Like, we are a feed shop. We get Bernal. Bernal people don't want that. We don't want to be too precious here. We want to meet your animals. We want to get dirty. We want to feed them. We're not going to sell you like we're not a gift shop. We're like a legit feed shop. So we understand that about Bernal. It's still kind of got I know it's changed a lot in the last 15 years, like a lot. But it still has a really sort of blue collar, local roots feel.
That was Steph Miller. We've got a lot of stuff coming up for you all. Tomorrow, catch our check-in with Balboa Theater owner Adam Bergeron. On Saturday, we'll meet and hear some quarantine stories from the owners of Pop's Bar in the Mission. And on the next episode of Storied San Francisco, we'll get to know 111 Minna owners Michelle Delaney and Alex Kivelstadt. Please join us for episode 35 next Tuesday. Music for Storied San Francisco is by Otis McDonald. Photography is by Michelle Kilfeather. The show is hosted and produced by me. Michelle and I have produced more than 120 episodes over the last 3 years, and you can find them all over at our website, storiedsf.com. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, as well as just about everywhere you can listen to podcasts. Please subscribe to stay up to date on all the content we publish. And if you have any feedback for us, or you just want to say hi, our email is storiedsf@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Stay strong, stay safe, and stay healthy.
This podcast is a proud member of the BFF.FM podcast network. Learn more at podcasts.bff.fm.
BFF.FM, best frequencies forever.